Hi, I'm Dana. Welcome to Made Every Day. I'm going to help you make cool things using everyday items. And today we're making these really fun yarn globes. You can hang them as decorative balls from the ceiling, or you can turn them into lamps. Let's get started. Here's what you need: cotton yarn or hemp cord, basic school glue, and a large bouncy ball. I'm using cotton yarn here because it's a little less fuzzy than other types of yarn, and when it hardens with the glue, it looks really cool, almost like wicker. You can find it at most craft stores and sewing stores. It comes in a variety of colors. And I also like to use hemp cord, which you can find at the craft store. That gives a cool effect in a ball or in a lampshade and dries really hard. Another option is to paint your ball with acrylic paint when you're done. This was red yarn on the inside. I painted it with the teal paint on the outside, and it gives kind of a two-tone effect. For glue, you just need standard old school glue, the same stuff you used in first, second, third, fourth, whatever grade. You're gonna need a lot of it though, so you might want 3 of these small ones, or you can even buy a really large container. And you can use Mod Podge as well. They're pretty similar and they actually cost about the same. So use whichever one you happen to have at the house. The last thing you need is a very large bouncy ball. You can buy this at any toy store, and it comes in different sizes. My kids were super excited when I brought this home until I told them it was for me. And the thing I like about this one is that it has these circles on it, which makes it really nice as I'm trying to create a circle on the bottom of my lampshade. Okay, time to get messy. So I have just covered this with trash bags. I have some towels on the ground. I have an extra towel right here just to grab all those little things that are dripping off the end. You want to protect yourself as well, so I have an extra trash bag. I'm going to go old school trash bag poncho style. Just going to cut off some holes for my arms. There we go. Okay, pull it right over you. You've never seen me look so cute before. Now, if you're making a large lamp, we want to make a few markings on your bouncy ball before we start wrapping it. The first one is that you want to leave a large opening at the bottom. This is where I'm going to insert a light bulb. And you also want to leave a little opening on the top here, and that's where the cord's going to come out. So on your ball, mine happens to have circles on it, which is great. I can just remember that this bottom is my opening for the light bulb. Then on the other side, I want to draw a small circle in the top with a Sharpie marker. Doesn't have to be totally precise, but just try to make it right in the middle. Just like that. Now as I put my yarn around, I want to try to get around that little hole there. The last marking I'm going to make is not too important, but here's a little spot where you can inflate and deflate the ball when you're done. So if you want to reuse it again, place a little marking, because as you start putting the yarn around it, it kind of gets covered up. That's going to make my kids happy because they can have their ball back afterwards. Okay. Now we're going to prepare our glue mixture. Now you want to mix equal parts of glue with water. I have a really large container here because I know I'm going to need that for this large ball. So you just want to pour it right in. I'm using a plastic container here, just big enough so that your yarn can fit inside. Now if you were doing this at a sink, kind of a nice way to do it is to then fill this same container back up with water, shake it around to get the excess glue out of it, and then pour it back in. Okay, that's pretty good. And if we run out of this, we can still mix more as we go along in the process. Pour your water in. Now you don't want this to be too thick and you don't want it to be too watery. How's that for a really precise description? It's just somewhere in between there. Okay, there we go. See how that looks? Let's put our yarn in there. Pull a little bit of the yarn off and then just stick that entire thing right down into the mixture. Let it start soaking all of that stuff up. Now we're just gonna let that sit in there as we're making the ball, and we're gonna start pulling the stuff out little by little. Bring your ball right over. I have mine sitting in a bowl so that if I need to set it down to rest, to pull more string out or go get more glue, it has somewhere to sit. So take your string and just start on one side and hold it in place. And we're just gonna start going around. Remember that you don't wanna cover that circle at the bottom. But if you do a little bit, don't stress over it. You can actually kind of move it with your hands as you continue going. Do some going this way, do some going that way, all different directions. As you can see, as I'm pulling these out, little bits of glue is flying everywhere. And then once you've got a few strings on here, then you can kind of start maneuvering the bottom part. So let's work on that, because you want to have quite a few strings around there so that it makes it a little bit firm and solid for the bottom of the lampshade. As you can see, I'm just kind of turning the ball slightly every time. Well, not even turning the ball, I guess. I'm just turning the direction that I do my yarn. And it's starting to make kind of this nice little circle around the bottom there. And right here where I've covered up that hole, just pull it down. It's pretty easy to manipulate the yarn because it's really wet. Just keep going around and around until you feel like it's covered enough. This might take a while. We made it to the end of the string, woohoo! Now all we want to do is tuck this in somewhere, make it a little inconspicuous. You're not really going to notice it later when it dries. And then on the top of the ball, if any of your strings got covered around that little hole that we drew, just kind of spread them apart with your fingers, like that. And the final thing I'm going to do is just give it a little bit more juice. So I'm going to take some of my remaining stuff here. This is going to make it nice and solid. Just like that. Now, it looks a little lighter than the yarn originally was. That's actually going to turn back to its original color when it dries. So don't worry about that. Now you want to get a clean work surface, put down a new trash bag, and get a smaller bowl so that we can set it right on top so that none of the yarn is actually touching the bowl. And then you want to let this dry for 2 whole days. It's going to need that long to harden up. And then we're going to deflate the ball, and you're going to see how cool it really looks. Okay, it's been 2 days and our yarn has completely dried. It's nice and hard and it looks awesome. And you can see it's turned back to the same color that the yarn was before. Now what we're gonna do is the most fun part of this project. We're gonna deflate the ball. I'm gonna use a ball pump needle. If you don't have one of those, you can just use scissors and cut the ball and watch all the air come out. But I might wanna use this ball again later for another project or for my kids to use. So I'm gonna insert it right in this hole that we marked earlier. I'm just gonna kind of pull the yarn away from the ball. Try not to apply too much pressure as you're doing this now that the ball has shrunken so that you don't smash your lampshade. Okay, I've deflated the ball enough that I can now pull it out, just like that. And you're left with a really cool yarn globe. Now you could just hang this decoratively, but we're gonna insert a light and really turn it into a lampshade. I'll show you what you need. Hanging light fixture, which you can purchase at IKEA and Home Depot, a light bulb, a 3/8 inch 2-piece clamp connector, which you can purchase at a hardware store, and a 1 by 3/4 inch washer, which you can also purchase at the hardware store. Now for the smaller lamp, you probably don't need these little metal contraptions I just listed because the light fixture will sit perfectly right in the middle. But for the larger lamp, we want to make sure that the light bulb is centered. So we've created a cool little thing here to keep this right where we need it. What you want to do first is take your washer, slide that all the way through to the desired position, then take your metal clamp connector and clamp that right around, screw it in place, and you'll see that the cord is not going to move around. Now we're going to screw our light bulb in. And I like these little light bulbs with the filaments that are visible because it lets the light kind of spurt out and it casts really cool shadows throughout all those yarn pieces. It almost kind of looks like a disco ball sometimes. Okay, and then let's plug it in and try it out. And look at that! We made a lamp. It's pretty awesome. For more patterns and tutorials, check out my website, danamadeit.com, and click subscribe to be updated with all of our latest videos. I will see you next time.